So, how many people here are chefs or aspiring chefs in the audience? Okay. I want to be radical here and say that every chef needs someone like me. We may even have to clone what I do, because I'm a gardener. And I was invited here to talk about how gardening and soil and food is super sexy. And let's see if this works. So I thought I'd start by showing off. And it's not working, the right one, huh? I'll dance while... Nope. Hello? Gringa in trouble. So, 20 years ago, I'll talk a little bit about the macro, how I started off with micro, macro, and went back to micro. 20 years ago, I went to Brazil and with my partner and my 6-year-old child, and we decided to create a permaculture center, an ecological center. We called it Ecocentro IPEC. Nope. Excuse me. Oh my God! I can't show off, you're just going to have to look at me, because I had some really cool pictures. So I'm just going to throw this down. So 20 years ago, I was invited by my husband to go on a holiday to Brazil for a year, and we stayed 20 years. And in this 20 years, we worked with Permaculture, which is a design system, basically working with, this is all going weird, huh? Basically working with 12 principles, and it's focused on nature. So I went to visit my local supermarket, and there was absolutely no food. It was quite distressing. It's in a little place called Pirenópolis, 25,000 people. And then I went to visit all my neighbors, and they were using agrotoxic chemicals, pesticides, and I really wasn't in the mood for eating that sort of food, because I wasn't eating that in Australia. The average Brazilian will drink 5 liters of pesticide per year. That's like maybe 18 cups. It's probably the same for us. The only difference is the Brazilians have actually recorded this. That's a lot of pesticides. And I was like, eu não vai lá. So most of the gardening in Brazil is one of the lowest paid jobs. It's about 100 euros a month. So I'm like, right, let's make this gardening thing sexy. So I started growing a beautiful garden, and all my neighbors, most of the males, would come up to me and like, I thought I'd work with envy, good old envy. I was like, my lettuces are much more beautiful than yours, and they taste better. And I don't waste money on pesticides. So slowly I started winning them over with the best product. Throughout all that time, it took about maybe 10 years, but the whole region is organic now. So that was a great push. Now, with soil is one of these, unfortunately I don't have the photos to show you, but we decided not only to use soil as our garden, obviously, we decided to make buildings. So we took old techniques that were used in Brazil, and we also made them sexy. We stretched the soil, we manipulated it, we added a bit of iron, and we created some amazing bioconstruction. And that obviously shook. When you take something as simple as soil and start creating amazing buildings, you see that soil is really magic, and nature has given everything to you. Now, most gardeners I know are happy, extremely happy. And why they're happy is because there's a little bacterium in the soil they've seen now is equal to Prozac. I've never taken Prozac. because I'm a gardener. I don't need to. But if anybody in this group ever suffers sadness, a bit of depression, or you have children, teenagers, that sometimes are a bit off balance, you get them to put your hands in soil. Because they've noticed that gardeners usually, we accidentally, get soil out of our nose or put soil in our nose. We may, lick our lips with soil, get the sweat, whatever. We're ingesting bacterium. And they've proven that if the soil is organic, it's actually a great bacterium. And you feel happy. So it's actually something that should be, by law, introduced into schools, because you actually create a happy society by bringing them back to nature. In 1 meter of soil, fertile soil, you can have 1 billion bacteria working for you. So you have basically nature in full force behind every vegetable or lettuce that you grow. So, this is why the taste is different. And the chefs understand that too, is that an organic tomato and a shop-bought tomato that's just average pesticides, there's different taste. A carrot, carrots are fibrous these days. They're not sweet. They don't melt in your mouth. Another thing that gardeners are doing, and especially there's a large group in Europe, especially in Germany, is the seed saving, the heirloom varieties. And this is one great thing for chefs to bring back on to their plates. The heirloom varieties, the purple tomatoes, the zebra tomatoes, the long string beans, all these weird and wonderful foods that really only fazenderas, like little farmers, are eating because they're not popular. So I think I totally agree with the last two Palestinians, is that the new chef has to be a researcher. Has to find where the aldeias are, where the chiazinhas and the vozinhas and the vos, growing their strange tomatoes or their giant roses, their exotic lavenders, and start bringing that in. So much, I would actually, if I was living in Portugal, what I would do is actually go into the aldeias and start paying the grandmas and the grandpas, to create food. I always have envy when I come to Portugal, kale. Like, your kale is like a tree. Do you know what I mean? Like, you see on the sides of the roads when you go slightly into the country, you have this amazing kale that's just brotando, and, it's just cutting. They're like trees. And that's something that I know other countries would be interested in. It's the seeds from this amazing kale that just feeds forever. You just break it off and it grows, break it off and grows. So yeah, that would be quite radical, is bringing, I know one of the problems in Portugal is the aldeias do have an elderly population, and all the young people come to the city. So much on the planet, every 2 seconds, somebody comes to the city. They leave their town and they come to the city. Great, this is a potential client for you. But it leaves pockets of sadness all over the country, because people, all the young people and children go to the city. So a way to bring this back is by organizing the grandmas and the grandpas, especially the grandmas in Portugal, to bring food back to the city, to give them a form of payment for holding the varieties of kale and other things that are important to Portugal cuisine. And that's, that could be a wonderful project. You never know. Now, I'm not sure how long I've been talking. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm going to talk really fast. What I think chefs should do, without a doubt, don't cook with plastic. I don't want to eat a poached egg that's been wrapped in a cling wrap that is not BPA approved, stuck in hot water. So as it goes into the hot water, through osmosis, I'm going to ingest all that plastic. And the worst thing is, I don't know, because I trust you. When I go to your restaurant, I trust you. I sit there and go, menu. I trust that I'm not being fed plastic. And that, I know a lot of people, are feeling the same. Sometimes I think that it's not, most of our obesity and other problems, ailments that we're having today is not, I don't think it's just due to the way we eat. It's the form that the food is cooked, because we're eating things that we don't know. Let's see, 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with having excess cadmium in my body. And I was like to the doctor, how the beep do I get cadmium in my body? And he was like, lifestyle. It could have been x-rays, could have been my dental, could have been anything. So now that that's all done with, I don't want to go to a restaurant and consume things that could be dangerous to me. This is a really simple thing chefs can do, and it's pretty crazy. It's don't throw your organics into a trash pile. Everything decomposes, okay? And everything causes a little bit of methane. But as soon as you mix trash with organics, vegetables and leftovers, you create a methane bomb. It's something like 10%, 25% more methane just by mixing two types of rubbish. So that's a really thing you can do to save the world. 7% of our methane comes from mixed rubbish. So it's like, if you cut that out in your kitchen, it's a bit of a pain. Just, come on, guys, in here, in here. But once, it takes 21 days to change a habit. So focus for 21 days to change the habit in your kitchen. Another thing is, yes. Oh, the power of your backyard, here we go. Okay, I'm going to fly through this. Where's my little thing? So you can see, this is just going to be a visual showing off now. Thank you. Who's got the little thing? I have it. Okay, no worries. Opa. So this is the land we started off in Brazil. As you can see, there's nothing. And this is when I started thinking, I'm going to show people that how you can get destroyed land and turn it into something positive. So this is our industrial kitchen. As you can see, it's wild and wonderful. It's made by stomping on soil, putting soil in sacks and stomping on it. Because we had the problem in Brazil, or the challenge in Brazil, that most people don't have enough cash to create magnificent buildings, so we decided to work with soil. Our water came from giant water tanks that we made from ferrous cement. Where did we poop? In compost toilets. And after 6 months, we would take the human manure out. 6 months, it usually was around a year, and put it back onto the forest to grow our food forest. Nowadays, this is a really common thing in Brazil. We've won so many awards that it's actually made a common knowledge. We made our own bricks. These are all unfired bricks. So you'll see that the buildings were massive. We thought we'd get playful. This is also mud. So you can see we just pushed soil every which way we could to show people that nature actually gives everything. This is a building that has 220,000 unfired bricks. It's a giant dome. This is where we would hold our lectures and our courses. And during the crisis, Middle East crisis, we would have planes flying over us, spying on us because they thought we were a mosque. But a dome is actually a really intelligent form of architecture. These are buildings made of ferrous cement. So we started playing around with cement and wire and seeing how far we could also push it. So you can see the difference This is after 10 to 12 years from destroyed land. We have an amazing food forest, and most of it fertilized by our bodies, because most of us will create 300 grams of poop per day. And instead of flushing that down waterways, we decided to compost it. My connection to Portugal is through Boom Festival. I created most of the edible gardens at Boom Festival, about 20,000 square meters, and that was also used by the toilets. Now, there's a lot of research that shows what comes out of your body. If Through time and temperature, you get rid of all the pathogens. But that's another asunto, so we won't go there. One of our themes is garden everything, and everything will garden. And this is like, you don't want a garden, you want so grab an old sofa and create a garden inside this sofa. And you can see all the fluffy stuff is linseed. And there's chia, and there's lots of pretty seeds around here that are actually edible. So you can see there's pumpkins and coffee, and here's one of my favorite things too. I grab anything and I just garden in anything and everything to make people stop. That's what we want. We want that effect of, who gets an old piano and plants vegetables in it? Why not? Why not make it exciting? So Brazil was one thing, and then what happened? My daughter got pregnant. She went back to Australia, and it was like, Mama, I need you. So I went back to Australia, and I went back to the micro. And these are gardens, similar gardens that can be created in urban situations. And, my back garden is probably only 200 square meters, and I have 8 trees. I grow all my greens, all my herbs. And I'm connected with a coffee shop there, a pretty funky coffee shop, that I take my extras to the coffee shop, and we trade meals. And it's sort of like coffee shop restaurant. And this is my grandson. I practice slave labor with him, child labor, but he has to come and help me. He has, and it's probably not the most ethical thing to say, but yeah, I forced him to help me until he got to enjoy it. Because the first reaction is, it's daddy, it's this, it's that. And it's like, out with me. And now it's like, yay. And there he is, all happy. He has a pumpkin patch, he has his own orange tree. He plants his own potatoes because he loves hot chips. And the only way he can eat French fries is if he plants his potatoes, which at first it was like, ugh. And now it's like, how's my potatoes going? I want to eat. We make our own natural ketchup. And there he is. I'm just showing him off a bit. Saudade, silly. No, not that much. So the idea, if chefs, the message I wanted to give here was that chefs do have the power to get out of the kitchen and connect with their local community. And you don't have to look for organic farms, because I realize organic food can be expensive. But if you start connecting with people from your community that might be slightly disadvantaged, or people think they're too old to be working, or too old to be useful for society. These are the people that usually have time and amazing vegetables to share with the community. And also, another thing I just want to add in there before I have to get off is the cleaning of your kitchen. You can use 3 ingredients, bicarb, lemon, and vinegar, and you can clean anything in your kitchen from your stove being overboiled with, caramel or whatever. You don't need to buy chemicals. Today, there's one thing about heavy chemicals. Heavy chemicals don't leave our water system. So as you know, most of our tap water is recycled. It will go through the filter. We drink it, dribbles out, goes back to the main system, gets filtered, comes back in. Every time you throw chemicals down your sink, or even oil, this doesn't leave the system, okay? It's the heavy metal is there. So when you're cleaning your kitchen, it's really important to be aware of that. And you can there's so much research out there that actually shows the wonders of these 3 ingredients. You throw a little bit of eucalyptus oil in there, and you've killed, any harmful bacteria. So that's a biggie. Don't throw rubbish down your sink. And it's small things, and they're literally small things. Look after your rubbish, look after what you throw down the water, and how you clean in your kitchen, and hopefully where you buy your food. And you're making big changes, because 7%. If we can cut down on throwing rubbish with organics, it's 7% of methane on the planet. That's massive, a massive change, a really quick change, and it's such a basic thing to do. So thank you very much. I don't know if I went over or under or... And for those of you interested, there's a quick, if you want to follow us and see other amazing things that we do in Brazil and now that we're doing Australia and that we've done in Portugal, you can find us on social media. Thank you, darlings.